I'm live. Oh my God, I'm live. What's up? Welcome to your Star Trek Discovery season 3. Nice to start out our season with a little mistake talking. Our season 3, episode 1 review. Yes, guys, I am back. The name of this episode is That Hope Is You. So let's hope that we can make it through this whole season because, as you know, if you've been following the page, I was doing a weekly review of Star Trek Lower Decks. And as I had warned you right at the start, I can't guarantee that I'll make it through the whole series, and I didn't. Which isn't to say that I didn't like. I'm really not into cartoon series, guys. I really tried to do the cartoons, and I can't hang with it. I really can't hang with it. So I think I got up to episode 5, and I had warned you if these tend to end abruptly, it's because I didn't make it an important part of my week to watch Star Trek Lower Decks. I'll go back and watch them eventually because I did think it was a cute show. So this is not me saying Lower Decks completely. I really didn't think it completely sucked, but it doesn't get me as pumped as I am right now for Star Trek Discovery. Let's see where this goes. So I'm going to do a little bit of a recap review as usual, and welcome back everybody from, well, it's been more than a year, hasn't it? I guess it's been more than a year since Star Trek season 2 did its thing. I'm terrible with time, so let me know. But welcome back. We're going deep into Star Trek again. Left off, total continuation. We got our Michael Burnham, and I'm going to begin by talking a little bit about Michael Burnham. Let me switch that so she's nice and big right there. Michael Burnham is a character that really divides people. There are people that love her, people that hate her, not a lot of in between. And I'm one of those that's sort of in between. I'm in between with a lot of things, so I guess it would make sense for me to be in between here. It's taken me a little bit of a while to warm up to her, and I thought that in this episode they must have done something. They must have listened to the fans a little bit. They lightened her up just a little bit more. She came off as slightly more relatable, slightly like, although she was desperate and they did have her crying already in the within the first minutes, and it was understood. I mean, it was a kind of a traumatic thing that through traveling through space and time. So it's understood, but they managed to make her not a know-it-all, which is when her character shines. Because I love the fact that she's confident, she's intelligent, she's a problem solver, but she can come off as slightly, what's the word I'm looking for here? Anxious, pompous, which is not what we want from our Star Trek heroes. Arc that we're looking at her character finding humility, which is a great arc for any character to have. It's just we have to deal with her being not that humble to begin with. And it's a tough line because you can sometimes write a character to go through that arc and they can come off as unlikable. That can be a problem because then you're like, that's the lead of the show. I'll give you an example of this. Dr. Bashir. Absolutely hated him. I hated him for about 4, maybe even 5 seasons because of how the character was written. But what worked with him, even when I didn't like him, is that he was written as kind of like a buffoon. He wouldn't always get the girls. He would always be shown that, hey, you're not as smart as you think throughout the series until we got the part where he got humbled. And then, oh my goodness, he's probably one of my favorite doctors of all the doctors that they've had on Star Trek. There's been many, but he seriously turned into that. But then Star Trek Deep Space Nine is a whole nother level of writing. as far as what they managed to do with those characters from episode one till the last episode, and just the journey that they all went through and the changes that they all went through. But it's a little safer to do that with a character like Bashir because he's a secondary character, and you would see him get humiliated, which doesn't always happen. Burnham, where even though she's the lead, she can still be put in her place a little bit more as like just get humble a little bit. It would My favorite episodes with her, in fact, were the ones with Saru, because Saru was like, man, I can see through your BS, and you can with me it's not going to work. You got to let your guard down. You got to let me know that you're not sure about stuff right now because I'm not sure either, and then we can work together to build something off of that. So my favorite episodes with her have always been off of Saru. I can't wait to see them get back together, but when she's on her own, it's tough. It's really tough. But I like that this episode made a point of that. It made a point of showing that, yes, is she trying to overcompensate? Later on, as we get into the recap, you'll see that she gets hit with this truth serum, and she starts saying a lot of funny stuff. And one of those things is like, why am I so this and why am I so forward in that and the third? Maybe I'm trying to compensate for something, or when they were trying to get inside this traders village, whatever you want to call it, she had to have the last word. And book, she said, man, if you always have to have the last word, this is not going to work out for us. This is going to work out for the best. So I like that the writers seem to have acknowledged what the fans have been saying, which is why I love the fans. Yes, they're out there. I am sorry. You guys just need to get a life. Like, come on. It's very nitpicky. And it's like, if you don't like the series, you just don't watch it. There's like plenty of Star Trek out there. But just because you enjoy a series doesn't mean that you can't criticize it and say, oh, this could be better. That could be better. We could try this. We could try that, which I think is where I'm at. I've been with the series since episode one. Didn't like it very much. It was entertaining enough, but I wasn't like in love until about episode five or six. So I thought the first season was a bit uneven, second season a little bit better. But I willing to it's like a constructive criticism that I try to have of it, because I know it takes some time for especially Star Trek series, historically at least, to get their footing. And why would Star Trek Discovery be any different? So I like what they have attempted to do with Burnham. Let's see if it continues throughout the series or throughout this season. And that was especially important because this whole episode was really centered on her and her new friend. And oh my goodness, you're going to see the screenshot I took of this boy right here. Oh my goodness. I didn't take this screenshot. I just took it because of the beautiful sky behind him. Really, I did. But we have this new character called Book, which those of you that watch Short Trek might know him from that, where he's actually in the Discovery, like way, way, way into the future. So one wonders where that is going to lead, or when we're going to cross paths with that. But this character, Cleveland Booker, is played by David Ajaya. And man, oh man, oh man, girl, or Night Flyers, but right now he is regular. He is a regular in Star Trek Discovery, and he's a cool character. I liked him from the beginning. I liked him in that Short Trek episode, which was awesome, and he was great here. Great foil for Michael, because he wasn't taking any of her BS either, and they started out having this great fight at the start. Extremely charismatic, uh, just kind of trying to live his life out. Like the twist he put at the end there with him, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But extremely likable character, interesting character. We still got a lot more to dig as far as where he's from. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she actually asked him what planet are you from, because he is humanoid, but is he human? Not sure. So correct me in the comments if you know what planet Booker is from, or not. Yeah, Booker. I can actually try to find out what planet is Book from Star Trek Discovery. He does end up meeting up with his own people, and I couldn't find it. So uh, find that out for me, guys. Find that out for me, because I could not find out what planet he is from. Christopher Booker. But enjoyed him, and he's very easy on the eyes, which makes it all the better. And we find out real quick that he's got some powers. He's got some connection with nature and with animals and all this stuff, to the point where he was keep saying Christopher Booker. Maybe it would help if I said Cleveland Booker. He's got a very black, very black name. Here from Earth Black. Give me a second. Oh, it's our first. It's a male human. Yeah, I guess he is human. It says here Cleveland Booker was a male humanoid that lived during the 3180s. This is from Memory Alpha. It says he owned a cat. So he appears to be human, but shows an ability to communicate with plants and animals through prayer-like behavior, causing an orange glow beneath his forehead, possibly indicating he belongs to another species. Well, duh, but we don't know which yet. But I would think that would be a question that Michael would ask him. I mean, she asked a whole bunch of questions, but she didn't ask, like, where are you from? And how exactly did you figure that out? But I don't know why they put everything in the past tense with Cleveland here on Memory Alpha, because he's 100% alive, unless they know something that we don't. So they meet up, when my friend Michael crashes onto the planet. She hits his ship. He's got some stolen cargo, and she and he decide that they want to help each other, because she needs to Discovery, because Discovery did not get through the little time warp breach that she came through. So she wants to find out how to communicate with them. He takes her to a place where he does all his trading and all of that, because he says that over there's a way to communicate with her ship, because she has to. And she goes. But before that, we meet Grudge, who's heavy. And I love that line. Big ass cat that he has. But when they get to this place there, it's run by the Orions and the Andorians, and we're getting an Orion fest, because we got Tendi in Lower Decks, and then we have this guy here who played a big role as the sort of antagonist in this episode, which was kind of cool. And also, love the makeup work. I mean, this Andorian, maybe it was a little too heavy, but for the most part, real cool look that they gave him. It'll make all the purists out there happy that they didn't change the look of these alien species too much. So kind of cool that we have some Orions and some Andorians, and they name dropped the Gorn. Apparently, the Gorn did something real bad. They screwed what they destroyed 2 light years of subspace. The Gorn did. So it'd be really nice to see the Gorn again. Oh, I like the Gorn. So we moving ahead here, guys. They get into this place, but our friend Cleveland, he double crosses Michael, because he needs some dilithium crystals, because her crashing into his ship totally screwed the ship up, and he needs to get the hell out of there. And we find out what the burn is, okay? And the burn is actually has to do with dilithium crystals. He said that somehow, some way, the dilithium crystals all became unsteady or unstable, I should say, and they just blew up. So there go a bunch of ships, So now we don't have warp capacity anymore. Ships are still in the air, but now we have communications lost between planets. So the Federation is gone, and civilization as we know it in Star Trek, space civilization has been taken back to the dark ages, more or less, right? Of just being more home based. Like I said, they do have ships out there, but they're not moving at warp speed. So, of course, this would really change the whole landscape of the universe, the quadrant, and what the Federation stands for. Is it needed anymore, et cetera, et cetera. And this happened about 100 to 150 years before Michael Burnham showed up on the scene. And they are, by the way, in the year 3188. Okay, so she went 930 years into the future. And this scene was okay. They went in there, double crossed. She got hit with some truth serum because he double crossed her. She got locked up. But then he gets found by the guy that was chasing him at the beginning of the episode. I believe it was the same guy, alien guy. And ends up, hey, we got to help each other because during the truth serum session, she tells him about the guy that brought her there. They find him. There's a big gunfight. They're blasting each other and they're killing each other. There's no set to stun over here. So Michael Burnham definitely, I guess, hey, when you're in this situation, life and death, I guess you just got to go do as the Romans. And she definitely killed a whole bunch of people in this opening episode. So I'm just waiting for the that's not Star Trek people to cry about that. But guys, in a life and death situation, you're really gonna quote Starfleet regulation set to stun? No, she was shooting to get the heck out of there with her skin, and then they start doing these teleportations out. They have these remote teleporters, which is really cool. And it reminded me of the opening scene of Star Wars, the last one that was horrible. What was that movie? The Rise of Skywalker, where they were hyperspace jumping, except that this makes more sense because you can't program that hyperspace that fast and know that you're. Well, I don't want to get into that. It looked cool looking scene in the Star Wars, but logically it made no sense. Like what kept them from crashing into the side of a mountain? I don't know. But this one was cool because they showed that, hey, and he did 30 seconds to reboot. He would put the coordinates on the little transporter. They would transport here, there, and everywhere to get away from these guys because these guys kept following them, kept reading their signature and following them until they transported into the water, which bought them some time. But eventually they found them, which, they should have just gotten rid of the transporter at that moment, but they didn't. So the guys found them, and, which gets us back to the beginning where the ship landed that Burnham crashed into. And by the way, she did manage to send the Red Angel suit back through the hole to give the final coordinates for Discovery to find her. And we know that they eventually do, given the previews. But that's all that was about. We do. Oh, look at this, guys! Another callback. We got Morn. Obviously it's not Morn, but it is Morn. But in my heart, it's Morn. And a member of the Lurian race. He's there in the future, trying to figure out what's in this cargo ship. And that's where we get a little bit of a twist. Okay, what is the twist? The twist is that he's got this worm in there. Okay, he's got this worm, which is called a trans worm called Molly, and she attacks everybody when they open up the cargo hold where she's at. She actually tries to eat Michael Burnham, which is pretty funny, and then spits her out. And our friend here, Cleveland, he's got a bit of control. Like we said, he manages to have this real strong connection with nature in things like that, animals, trees, whatever. And he tells my friend Molly to just stand down, relax. You don't have to eat Michael Burnham. And we find out that what he's doing, he's smuggling this animal back to its home planet because they have this. It's an endangered species that he's trying to save because since the Federation's been gone, they haven't been really enforcing the Endangered Species Act. So he sends this animal back for its just in time for the mating cycle to begin for the rest of its species. And that's our Star Trek moment, right? Because we all need our Star Trek moments where we say, "Oh, isn't that nice?" Hello, I got one viewer there. So that was the moment in this episode. Hello, one viewer. Live long and prosper. I'll post these in the Trek groups in a little bit. Um, and it was cute. Okay, it was cute. It worked for the most part because I did think he was kind of just kind of like Captain Rios was in Star Trek Picard, just this guy that's out there for his own, but he's got a heart. And we do find out in this moment too that wherever he's from, whatever civilization he's from, they're a civilization of hunters and poachers, and he's been ostracized. He's been kicked out of this culture because of his love for the animals. So I can dig it. He loves the animals. He's good looking. He's charismatic, and I was shipping him and Michael from scene one. Michael Burnham, get rid of this Tyler dude with the little ponytail. Forget about him because he was boring, guys. Really boring as a love interest. If any of you followed my reviews through season two of Star Trek Discovery, you know that I really did not like him at all, and he was just a drag. Now, this guy is anything but a drag. He's got great chemistry with Michael Burnham, with Sonequa. He manages to tone her down, which is really good because you just need that for a character. Like the worst thing is accusing her of being a Mary Sue. That's what a lot of people like to say. I don't think she falls completely into that, but they just need to make it so that she doesn't have all the answers to everything all the time. Okay, and she doesn't, but it feels that way, right? And for her to let her guard down a little bit, I think she's been through enough where she can begin to let her guard down, trust others, let her human side overwhelm her Vulcan side because she grew up in Vulcan culture. So Vulcans are arrogant by nature. We know that if we're Star Trek fans. And allow us as the audience to fall in love with her a little bit more. I think that's what the audience needs, especially because she's the lead of the show. So you can't have the lead of the show be someone that we don't start to fall in love with. I can deal with the growth, season one, season two, growth of the character, tearing down some of those walls. She's cried a lot. No more crying, please. We don't need more crying. But just soften her a little bit and make her a more likable character. And before I get accused of this being a sexist thing, because you wouldn't say that if she were a man. Yes, I would, and I did. Actually, earlier in the broadcast, I was talking about Dr. Bashir. Same problem, but even one of the greats, Commander Sisko, later Captain Sisko. He was the same. He was extremely wooden in the beginning of Star Trek DS9, but he grew into that role, and he still had that toughness. He was still the most badass captain out there, probably the most badass of all time, head to head with Kirk. I'm a Kirk fan. But they allowed for him to be soft, to soften a little bit, show his vulnerability. I think that's very important for any lead character, for any character. It's got to have dimensions to it. Even Captain Kirk, and that was at a time when they really didn't show that on TV. They didn't have that many layers. Star Trek, the original series, I'm talking about. Even still, you see episodes where you see the funny side of Kirk, the light side of Kirk. So it wasn't just here's this guy giving orders. And Patrick Stewart, another great example of softening up. He was horrible. Season 1 and 2 of Star Trek TNG. I mean, if you claim to actually like that version of Captain Kirk, okay, whatever. I guess I have to believe you. But the Captain, did I say Kirk Picard? The Captain Picard that we all love and is remembered is maybe season 4 onward, right? It's after the Borg, definitely, when he got humbled for real. He ate some humble pie right there. And he became more like the fatherly figure, older, wise, fatherly figure, not the demanding task master fatherly figure. I don't know if I guess that's fatherly too, right? Different type of father. So please stop before you accuse me of sexism. Okay. Live long and prosper. I've got to change a diaper, not mine. Or live long and prosper, whoever that was. Live long and prosper. Right back at you. And so that's my little rant about that because people get so sensitive these days. They get so sensitive these days, and and oh, there they are back on this planet where these little worms live. Not little, they're huge. And the episode ends with a character that we saw at the very beginning, which is this Indian guy. Which, by the way, this made me think Indian. Oh, maybe I'm making a big error here. I'm assuming he's Indian. Okay, I could be wrong. So I'll take that back before I just saved my ass from trying to be offending anybody. So I might just walk right into another one. But whatever he looks Indian to me. But we'll fight. I'll try to research what his actual background is. What I'm trying to say is this: I haven't seen that much representation from people from this part of the world on Star Trek, so that's cool. Just like it was nice to see Michelle Yeoh, because not well, obviously Star Trek Enterprise, you had one of the crew in Sulu, but overall, I mean, we're talking just over the course of the whole series, characters that were in the lead had a lot to do, and Asian from either China, Japan, Malaysia, Philippines, wherever, not that much. I mean, yeah, again, we got Sulu, we got the girl from Enterprise. Sorry, not a huge fan of Enterprise. Forgot her name. Uh, who else? O'Brien's wife that everybody loves. You know, put them out there if you can remember anymore. Asian East, you know, Far East representation. We got now this guy, which is cool, and his name is Aditya Sahil. Okay, Aditya Sahil, and oh, actually, Hussein is his last name. Let's see. Oh, he's an Indian actor. I was right. Adil Hussein is an Indian actor who has worked in Indian cinema, including art house cinema and mainstream Bollywood, as well as international cinema in films such as The Reluctant Fundamentalist and The Life of Pi. He received National Film Awards at the 2017 National Film Awards for Hotel something. Okay, cut off. So yes, woohoo! All right, he is Indian. So yeah, I can't remember much Indian representation in Star Trek, which is a shame because Indian has a billion potential Star Trek fans, and he was awesome. And who is he? He is just this guy out in this outpost in the middle space who is just waiting for the Federation to become something again. He's just this guy who's holding out a hope that the Federation will come back. And our friend Cleveland happens to know of him, and he takes Michael to him because they weren't able to contact her ship yet, the Discovery. So he's like, I know a guy that might be able to help you. She takes him to this outpost. He's like, oh my god, he's an actual Starfleet person. He's never met somebody from Starfleet before. His parents, his grandparents were in Starfleet, but he officially isn't. This is like his hobby. Okay, he's like a mega fanboy of Starfleet, and he is willing to help her. And there's this beautiful scene. He has the Federation flag that's inside this little trunk, and he's very emotional because he's like, "Wow, I'm actually not a commissioned officer, and I'm just doing this because I believe in what the Federation stands for, and I can't even put this flag up, to be honest, because only, a commissioned officer is allowed to do this, a commissioned Starfleet officer." So Burnham, in her command powers, tells him, I need, oh no, there we go. We need someone to put up I'm sorry, so I got thrown off track there because my slide went wacky. But it's right there on the screen, guys, with the flag going up, United Federation of Planets. And she said, I need somebody to be looking for my ship. Okay, so I'm making you like my commission communications officer. You only got to find my ship. And he's like, oh my God, yes, yes. And in fact, do me the honor of putting up that flag. So he puts it up, and then they talk about this hope and this thing. And I'm like, yes, there you go. We got our Star Trek message in again. So, for everybody that's like, oh, they don't do enough Trek philosophy. This episode went hardcore Trek philosophy. And it did something else. Okay, so this is like my review now. Is that as you can tell, I liked the episode. I had fun with it. I don't think I liked it as much as the season 2 premiere, although I'd have to rewatch it to really give you a final opinion. Definitely better than the season 1 premiere, which was just chaotic and crazy. And I don't think season 1 got really good into about season 5 or so. But episode 5, season 2 had a more solid start, nice solid beginning, but again kind of chaotic. What I liked about this is it felt very streamlined, and it gave characters time to talk. I think that's where Star Trek Discovery has been at its worst. Okay, it's been at its worst when it hasn't allowed its characters to breathe. And if this episode is any indication, they've learned how to do it. Hopefully, it carries on throughout the season. You can't go by season opener to say how good the entire season is going to be, but it gave me hope that that they're going to allow this to happen, because that's where Star Trek on TV, especially now, if you're talking the movies, yeah, they got an hour and a half to 2 hours to wow you. So you can't always have those character moments in the movies compared to the TV shows. So I accept the movies for what they are. And some people even say movies are a different universe than the TV show. They don't even like to connect both of them. They're like, no, that's a different Captain Kirk. That's a different Picard from some parallel universe, because they just are the same type characters. It's like they make way different decisions than they would have if they were on the show. That's fine if you want to believe that, but that's because it's a movie. They need to attract a broader audience than the TV show audience. I mean, the TV show has what, 5 to 10 million people watching every week. That's not enough to make the money that a movie needs to make back after the budget and everything to keep a franchise going, right? They need to expand that audience. So on TV, I expect a different Trek. I expect a Trek that can be talky. I expect a Trek that's a little slower getting from point A to point B. That's fine. That's the Star Trek that we've all grown up with, in the Trek that doesn't have to be removed from this new version of Trek, which, yes, is absolutely awesome with its special effects and its gunfights and its, or phaser fights, I should say, and its Vulcan karate And all that stuff. All that stuff is cool too. I love it. I think it's so cool. The visuals, all the visuals in this episode were gorgeous. Again, Star Trek at the forefront of sci-fi television as far as visual effects and where you can take stuff. So, congrats to those guys. But back to my point is that balance. I thought season 2 managed to do that a little bit more in some of the episodes, but it wouldn't go in 100%. It wasn't all in. It would sprinkle you with some of that, but then right back to the frenetic action. And then we gotta save Tilly that's inside like that blob. And then Culber's inside the mycelial network. And then there's a star over here that we gotta chase. And then we're running over there. And then maybe Control is coming over here. And it's like and Spock in the middle of it all. And where's Spock? It's like, wow. I mean, I kept up with it fine. It wasn't badly written to the point where we couldn't keep up with all these story threads. But when can we just, what was that episode, an oboe for Sharon or something like that? That was a beautiful episode where our friend Saru lost his little ganglia, whatever they're called. Quiet, simple episodes, stuff like that is nice. Even though they did have the sphere that was attacking the ship, or they thought was attacking the ship at the same time, so they had the A and B plot going. But this was nice, just a straight up A plot where we got to know the characters, we got to talk to the characters, we got to find out about the characters. You can do this, Star Trek Discovery, and if you manage to do this very well, man, this is right. This is right where Star Trek has traditionally, I'm talking about the other series from TNG onward, traditionally where things have always started to gel for all the past series. Around season 3, with most of these series having magnificent season 4s, like stellar. So Discovery is right there. And from what it's shown in its first episode, I mean, it didn't get me emotional, like, oh my God, I can't wait for next week. It didn't, I'll be sincere with you, it didn't leave me with that feeling of like, I can't wait for next week. Because we kind of already know what's going to happen. Like, they're going to reconnect with the ship. They showed a scene where the two of them kiss, and it was Cleveland and Michael. So that was kind of written, it's pretty clear, even though I was shipping them from second number 1. But we we kind of already know what's happening as far as that. There are mysteries, of course, of what caused the burn. Are they going to be able to rebuild the Federation? How exactly is it that she's going to reconnect with the Discovery crew? So we still have things that are curious, but it's not like last season type curious of what are these stars out there and where, and what's up with Spock. And it's like, I really need to know, like cliffhanger type ending. This was not a cliffhanger type ending. It was just a solid ending. And it's gotten a lot of good reviews, by the way. Before I came on, I was looking at a lot of reviews, and a lot of people are giving it 4 to 5 stars, saying it's one of the best season openers for Star Trek Discovery. And yeah, I mean, there's only been 2 other ones, and it's definitely better than the first one. But like I said, it's not like exciting, but it's definitely. I'll definitely be here next week though, because I'm curious as to what this season can bring. We know the show is no longer beholden to canon in that way because it can kind of create its own canon moving forward, new life and new civilizations. But it was cool to see callbacks to old Star Trek alien races. So that's cool to see that they're still around. In that the quadrant just didn't implode on itself or anything. They're managing to do something with themselves, and we want to find out some information, like how it is that Cleveland can travel through the slipstream, but uh, the Federation didn't get this technology. What's going on? Like, what is it exactly that held the Federation back from finding technologies other than dilithium crystals to travel through space. Not just them, but other cultures like the Vulcans and um, the Bajorans or whoever else is warp faring, a warp faring race. Even those outside of the Federation, like the Klingons. Can't wait to see them if they show up this season, or the Romulans or anything like that. So there's still some mysteries out there. There's still some things that we want to find out, and I can't wait to find out. By the way, I'm looking here at the main cast. We got Sonequa Martin Green as Michael Burnham, Doug Jones as Saru, which I love to death. Can't wait to see him. Anthony Rapp as Paul Stamets. Mary Wiseman as Tilly. Wilson Cruz as Colbert. David Ajala as Book. Okay, so these are the main characters this season. And but from what I saw in the previews, they tried to show some dialogue from the other minor characters. Hopefully, they'll try to draw them out a little bit more. It would be nice to see a bit more from the comms officers on the Discovery, especially since Michael may not be there. Maybe I don't know if maybe next episode they're just going to focus on Discovery. That would be kind of cool to do like this back and forth for maybe 2 or 3 episodes or more until they finally connect. So Mr. Hussein, who played Sahil, is a recurring character. Blue de Barrio as Adira, which we didn't get a chance to see this this episode. She, I believe, is the non-binary character that's joining the cast, so we'll see what she's about. And then Ian Alexander is going to play a character named Gray, which is well, I went right back. Okay, Gray and Adira are transgender, so they're both transgender characters, non-binary, which is cool. Notable guests: we got Michelle Yeoh as Philippa Georgiou, and Tig Notaro as Jet Reno. Hopefully, I would hope they give her more to do because I loved her. But then here, guys, I'm on the wiki page. I got Kenneth Mitchell as a notable guest, and he plays a lot of Klingons. He's played Cole Shai, and Tanovik in Star Trek Discovery. And what happens is that, sadly, he was diagnosed with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, in August 2018, and has been using a wheelchair since October 2019. He revealed his diagnosis in February 2020. Okay, and that is kind of sad. But he's listed here on the. He's listed on the what do you call it? Memory Alpha fandom. I'm sorry, on the wiki as being part of this season. So I wonder what he'll do, if anything, or maybe they just put him there. Maybe it's a flashback, or maybe he'll be a Klingon in a wheelchair or something. It'd be cool if they find some way to keep him working, because he's actually probably the three best Klingons that we remember. Cole, which is a really cool looking Klingon. Cole Shah, which is another really cool looking Klingon, and Tenavik, which is in that episode Through the Valley of Shadows, which is another cool looking Klingon who's kind of like the mystical Klingon. We don't see a lot of them. So I did not know that about him. So blessings to him. I hope he's well, considering everything, all things considered. And that's it, y'all. That's it. I've talked for 45 minutes. Star Trek Discovery Season 3. Here I am saying hello, goodbye to you guys. Catch me every Thursday between 7 and 11 p.m. I don't know, guys. My work schedule is insane. So it depends. What I did today is I watched it between classes, because I teach here. So my class ended at 3. I took about half an hour to prepare some things for my next class, watch Star Trek, taught from 4:30 to 6, and then try to take a little bit of a nap, and then did this now around 7:30. Um, and that's my day. Now I'm gonna go out for a run because I need to stay fit. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for watching. I will be here next week on Sundays. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, which I should say at the beginning, and I never do. On Sundays, I talk Lovecraft Country. It is the season finale next Sunday. So after this, I will be talking sci-fi, horror, fantasy Sunday nights that involve people of color. Okay, so going off the Lovecraft Country vibe. On Monday nights, I am on with my friend Peter, and we do a show called What We Are Watching. And guess what? It's about what we are watching. And it pretty much just, we do about 10 to 20 minutes on each thing that we're watching, from TV shows to movies to cartoons to whatever, anything that we saw in the prior week that caught our attention. And that's it. I mean, I do some music live on Facebook on Fridays usually, and then when I get a chance, I post an edited down version of it here on YouTube. Great to see you guys. Until next time, live long and prosper, and adios. Bye.